This is the PICO-56, and this video covers a complete build and configuration of a PICO-56 kit from scratch. The video is intended as a guide for those who have purchased the kit, or just to show what's involved in building and configuring a PICO-56 for those who are interested. Alright, well, let's get stuck into it. I absolutely recommend doing the SD card connector first, because you don't want anything else in the way. So if we unwrap that, and as we can see, it's got two little notches here, which align with two little holes in the PCB. So all we need to do is sit it on there and it'll fall into place. I recommend using flux for these. I just use a flux pen. Then sit it on and align it with the holes until you feel it click. That's it. Now if we solder the ground connections first. Now we just go along and solder each of the pins. We want to be very careful not to bridge solder onto the top of the connector here. Alright, so now I'll just check this with the microscope. So now I'll just check each of the connections for continuity and also check for shorts. So we'll check ground first. Good. 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 And now just checking for shorts. So next up I want to do the resistors. So I'll do one value at a time. I'll start with the 500s. We want to make sure they're all the same way. And the 500s go one in red, one in green, one in blue. So I fold these first and then pop it in. Then the next one. And I hold them down, flip it over, and just spread them out a little. Snippers. Okay, next up we'll do 1K. So I bend them all first, and then I just have to pop them in. All right, 2K. So same thing, I'll bend them all first. All right, next up, 4K. $10K. So that's all the resistors on. Next we'll do the diode. So you note on the diode there's a silver line, and the silver line lines up with the double lines on the PCB. Like so. Next up we'll do the 100 nanofarad capacitors. So these are just decoupling caps for the various devices. And then we have two filtering the audio. All right, next we'll do the LEDs. So I have green for the SD card activity and blue for power. You can swap those if you prefer, but that's the way I have them. And you'll notice the short lead. There's a short lead and a long lead. And the short lead goes on the flat side of the PCB marking. So like that. And here I've got the short lead, and it goes into the flat side. So next up we'll do this transistor. So very important, there's actually a mistake on the PCB where this transistor is reversed. So it needs to go with the curved side facing the flat side. These pins are very close together, so you want to be sure not to short these out. See, I've shorted those out. So I'll just grab a piece of solder wick and fix that up. Just got it. Alright, the last components from bag one is the electrolytic caps. So 2 of these are for audio filtering and one is for the power in. So the capacitors have a white line there and that goes on the thick white line on the PCB, like that. So that's it for bag one. Now move on to bag two. Okay, so we want to start with the lowest profile items. So that's the push button. We'll do the reset button, which goes right here. Just note the footprint on the reset button is like rectangular. That's which way it's orientated. Next up, we'll do the power switch. So it has 6 pins. It can go either direction. It doesn't matter. This one can be a little tight to get in. I'll do a DC barrel jack. Next up, we'll do the audio jacks. So red for right, white for left. And they clip in, make sure they're flat on the board. These are a little long, but I don't bother to cut them. Okay, next up, we'll do the PS2 connector. So I shipped these with a piece of polystyrene there to protect the pins. Just undo that. And clip it on. So these do clip. VGA, same thing. And again, these clip on. Okay, so next for the Pico headers, again I cover these in tape to protect them in shipping. So the best bet here is to get your Pico, which if it already has headers on it, just put them on like that. If it doesn't have headers on it yet, then I recommend lining up the entire thing on here and soldering your male headers onto the Pico first. So here we'll do opposite corners. Make sure it's level. Make sure it's flush to the PCB. That looks good. And do the other opposite corners. One last check. Looks good. Let's do it. Alright, last one. The Nest controllers. So initially these only ship with one Nest controller by default, and optionally you can order a second one. Currently there's no software that uses two other than testing programs, and these add quite a cost to the kit, so I thought I'd add the second one as an option. So just fit all the pins in and then click the plastic clips in. So now what I like to do is just clean the bottom where I've got isopropyl. Just to get all the flux off. And also around here. There we have it. So here's our completed PICO-56. We want to insert the Raspberry Pi Pico. Ensure the power switch is off, so in the higher position. And then take your micro USB cable, which is plugged into a PC, and plug it in. And then what you want to do is hold down the boot cell button and turn on the Pico. Let go. That'll open a folder on your PC where you will be able to drag and drop the PICO-56 image onto there. So let's do that now. So head on over to the PICO-56 GitHub page, scroll down to releases and click on the latest release. And then scroll down and download the .uf2 file and also the ROM's zip file. So the UF2 file is the PICO-56 flash or firmware, and all you need to do is drag that onto your Raspberry Pi Pico, which should have appeared as a drive in your system. And that's it, that's the PICO-56 flashed. So let's try it out. So now that that's flashed on there, we'll turn this off and plug in the VGA audio, keyboard and Nest controller. So we'll start the VGA. Audio, PS2 keyboard, and a single Nest controller. There we have it. And turn it on. Okay, so it's checking for a microSD card. I haven't created one yet. So it boots to basic. And there we go. Okay, so next I'll go through creating the SD card image. So the software we'll want to put on the SD card is available in the GitHub releases as well. Just open the zip file and copy all of those ROM images onto your SD card. There's also some basic files in there as well, which you can load and run. All right, let's try it out. And now that we've done that, insert the SD card. Like so. Reset the Pico. And there we go. So it's loaded all of the ROM images it can find on the SD card. You can use your NES controller or keyboard to pick the one you want. You can also load and save programs to the SD card in BASIC. Like so. Alright, that's it for this video, and expect to hear more about the PICO-56 in the future. Thanks for watching.